Oh, haven't lit a candle for a naughty step, David.
Aye.
We need people to be able to burn their arses. Oh. Oh, they burn their arses today, run out of candles. We're getting half light today.
You know what he do is? What he do is, every time somebody says, "Oh, I'm a bit late," take your lighter out and light it and say, "Right, you sit on that, okay?"
Off to the naughty step, that's all. They're just not getting their arse burnt today.
Hey, I'm seeing the Scottish flag here for once.
There's one behind me.
It's nice. Be honest.
Oh, aye, that one as well, aye.
But my video, I remember when this is pre-laptop, when I had the camera, I could actually set it up so that I came the right way around. So sorry about
that. Aye,
anyway.
Change the mirror image on it. Anyway, you can do that with your laptop and all, David.
You reckon?
I just need to find the right setting.
Hey,
so,
listen, after what I've done, trying to tear my bloody hair out and get these blooming monetization on this blooming channel, you wouldn't believe.
Why don't you get Facebook on board, and then we'll talk about the changes to the channel.
Right.
Right, Facebook should be able to start coming in now. I'll see them in the chat in a minute. Hi, folks. We've sorted out the super chats, as you probably see on your screens now. The super stickers.
I'll just make sure that YouTube is on there.
And the super thanks. Right, but we've also made another couple of changes, which we will change back if you find it too annoying. We've switched on the advertisement. We've switched on the long ad that you would now get. Thanks, Alistair. That's very generous of you. We've switched on the long ad that you get at the beginning of programs, and we've also switched on the short ads. Now, if you're watching the program back, which a lot of people do, you will now get adverts. One at the beginning and maybe a couple through the program. If that happens and it annoys you, tell us, and we'll put the short ads back off.
Yeah. Okay. Aye. Yeah.
Because I can just get into settings, David, and switch the short ads off. You know, so if it annoys you, but the reason why we're doing it, folks, is we're trying to maximise the amount of money that we can throw at the food banks.
Yeah.
Because
June Dalrymple says, "Thanks, David, for sharing your sexy leg with us all." Hey, yeah, the sexy leg you might think is this one, right? Where in actual fact, I'm wearing a stocking here at the moment.
That's more information than we want right now, boy. So that's what we've done. Indy Scott Brian, thank you very much.
So it's working now. That.
Yep.
That's now working. We can't see that, Stephen, on Restream.
Thank you very much.
So we need your feedback to tell us that it is working and it is there.
Oh, it's definitely, David, I can see it.
You can see it, right?
I can see all the YouTube channels, all the YouTube chat and Facebook chat.
Oh, bully for you. I've got a laptop and that's it.
But as I say, folks, that's why we've done it, to maximise the revenue the channel makes, so we can give more to food banks. But if the short ads become annoying, tell us, we'll put them off.
Pops Neve says you should get a Winston Ingram leg. That's pretty still game, isn't it? Yeah, wait. He takes it off and throws it at people.
Anyway, we've got Facebook on board. We're up at the 100 mark. So let's start. So a wee bit more cheery in this programme, David, because it would appear that Swinney and Flint have come out fighting as the press asked them if independence has went in the back burner. And if you remember who the SNP is, David Nair, you'll have had an email in for John.
Yes.
To tell you, line 1, page 1. In fact, I'll stick the email up.
No, before you do that, can I just say, oh, blooming heck, Alistair, blooming heck, another £20. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is it possible is it possible that the reason why we're seeing this now is the fact that people like us have been complaining about it, and perhaps we're more visible than some?
You see that? Probably, David, because obviously there's pressure in the party.
Yeah.
Heading to the top of the party to tell them, hey, we're losing the movement here. You have to get a grip.
Aye.
So, Stephen Flynn was being interviewed by Beth Riley, as you know, and she was asking Stephen if independence was on the back burner.
Yeah.
What he did was basically what you did, and that was to say that ABC plus I is the answer.
Yeah.
So basically, he was saying he was linking austerity, Brexit, and the cost of living crisis, all made in Westminster, to the need for independence. And he made it clear to Beth Ridgely, and John Swin has also made it clear in a BBC interview that line 1, page 1, no ambiguity, a vote for the SNP is a vote for independence. They also realise that they've upset the membership because this is the email that we all got. David, you got it, I got it. And it was, dear David, the power to build a better future is in all our hands. Page 1, line 1 of our manifesto will say, vote SNP for Scotland to be an independent country.
So the upshot of all of that is that now, because they have responded in such a way, we're going,
well, let's put it this way, they better put it at the forefront of what they're saying now.
aye, because now we can campaign, now we can tell folk, that's it, independence is the forefront. However, just like a lot of people that I've been speaking to on Facebook, I would like them to go a wee bit further and say, right, okay, independence is line 1, page 1, whatever, right? However, when you actually win, what does winning look like? Yeah.
Aye. But let's remind them what they're up against, shall we?
Yeah, go on.
Where is the fucker? Let's have a wee look at Starmer. This is what they're up against.
Yeah.
Hold on to get the share button. This is a year ago. I thought we'd bring this one up actually on this because it's quite
a year ago, but it's still fresh. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. We've got it. Oh, wrong one. Back to the right one. That's the one for later. And press play.
There's a party that stood with another vote on Scottish independence at the centre of its manifesto in the last Scottish elections, and they won at an absolute canter. It was the will of the people to have a referendum on independence within the term of this Parliament up here, and you say that shouldn't happen. Why do you protect democracy across the UK but deny it to the people of Scotland?
I listened and watched very carefully the arguments into that election here in Scotland. And all parties were saying the priority has to be recovery after COVID. I think Nicola Sturgeon was challenged to say...
But a referendum in this term was at the heart of her manifesto.
Just let me finish this, because she was asked in terms, what if someone wants to vote SNP but doesn't want independence? And she said that actually recovering from the pandemic was the single most important priority. So I actually reject the idea. All the political
parties... That person can still vote no at a referendum if they don't want independence. It doesn't mean there shouldn't be a referendum.
Every party going into that election last time here in Scotland was saying loudly and clearly, and rightly in my view, that recovery from the pandemic needs to be the central issue. Around people's tables tonight, they will be talking about whether they can afford to make ends meet. That is the most important issue, the economy, and the next election will be fought on the economy. And the choice will be carry on with this utter chaos and damage under the Tory party, or usher in a Labour government which will stabilise the economy and grow the economy.
That argument, that binary argument, whitewash south of the border, Sir Keir, but up here there is a third choice, which is break away from the Union. Do you think the people of Scotland should have the right to determine their own future or not?
Well, look, I'm talking about priorities and what is the priority at the moment. And for me, the priority is the economy. And I think for many, many people across Scotland, many people watching this programme, the central concern will be the economy. How are you going to help me pay my bills and get through not just this winter, but the months that come after that? That is the central issue.
The electorate that the way to solve that is to vote for independence, and people are backing that in their droves.
I fundamentally reject the argument that the way you grow the economy is to put a border between Scotland and England. I don't think that will help us grow the economy. I think it will make a bad situation worse. But we have to be clear that the priority going into that election has to be the economy, has to be the cost of living, has to be answering the question that people are asking around their kitchen table, which is, can I make ends meet?
Do you think the Union is a voluntary organisation, or are we stuck in it?
Well, of course it's a voluntary organisation.
So what's the democratic route?
But that's why we need to make, I believe in the Union. I think that if I think of all the fantastic things that we've achieved as a United Kingdom, we've done them together as four nations. If I look at the...
I can't think anything we've achieved as four nations except for bloodshed. Anyway, that's just to remind you who Starmer is. Mark is on
the question. No, but the question that was going to come down the line is the one I'm very interested to hear. And I think he's just about to say it, David, if you let it roll.
Really big challenges that face us, climate change, conflicts such as Ukraine, dealing with the energy security.
Of course,
these are issues which it seems to me obviously can only be solved by the four nations, as one entity. But we need to make the argument for that. I do understand very many people in Scotland saying we want change, fed up with the Tory government back in Westminster. It's my job to sort that out by winning the next general election, and actually then we can have a Labour government to work with. But if you look at those fundamental challenges, the big challenges that face us are only going to be met with a strong union going forward, a progressive, forward, modern look to our union.
But I asked you if it was a voluntary union, and you said you thought it was. So what is the democratic route out of that union?
Well, look,
if one nation doesn't want to be part of it anymore?
We need to make our arguments. We need to have our priorities. And my priority is...
That's enough.
So he wiggled it. He didn't answer it. He did his usual thing of wiggling his way away from a question like that, right? However, that is the killer question that should be asked of every Labour representative in Scotland is Scotland in a voluntary union? Yes or no? If yes, then the answer, yes. The question is going to be, okay, if it's a voluntary union, what is the route we need to take to get Scotland's independence?
But as I say, the reason why we played that, David, is to make it clear to people here in Scotland who Starmer is. He's a democracy denier. Only English democracy counts.
Absolutely. But that's the point I would like to see made over and over again. If the representative of Labour that you're speaking to says, yes, it is a voluntary union, right? And you say, well, what's the route that Scotland has to take to get independence? If they can't answer that, then you basically just say you're a democracy denier. And that's the powerful argument that we need to be using all the time.
The reason for playing it is to remind people, John Swinney, Stephen Flynn, the email I put up, it was all to get it clear and unambiguous in the minds of the politicians south of that border, as well as in the minds of the people here in Scotland, that a vote for the SNP is a vote for Scotland to become an independent country. Yes. And that's the wording. That's the important wording. A vote for the SNP. Now, the reason for playing Starmer is to show what Stephen Flynn and John Swinney will be up against when the SNP win this election.
Yeah.
How big the win will be is the question, but it'll be a win.
Yeah, and remember, right? what David's saying is very, very important. It's how big the win, because what we need to be doing is privately, within our own numbers, is finding out from the SNP leadership, what does victory or winning actually look like? And what are you going to do with that victory when you get it? So that's basically it. But these are questions that need to be kept within the leadership. And as far as I'm concerned, they do need to answer it.
Now they've cleared up the ambiguity, we have to win.
Yeah.
And then they have to make the representation.
Mm.
And then when they're told no, that's the time for the question of what you're going to do about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the logical route. But as I say, the reason for playing that was because it was to remind people of who Starmer is.
Yeah.
And what he is.
Yeah.
There was a couple of pertinent questions there from Geisler. So you'll protect UK-wide democracy, but when it comes to Scottish democracy, you'll deny it. And he was directly comparing the Brexit vote to the Scottish independence vote.
What's the reason that Starmer is definitely never, ever, ever, ever going to give us our democratic right? The simple reason is that he is going to use Scotland as much as he can to dig his way out of the financial mire. Simple as that. You know, he might go to the Treasury and go, right,
in the interview, he says he believes it would be bad to put a new border up.
Yeah, I know.
There's no new border, the border's where it is.
Yeah.
And bad for fucking who?
He swore.
I'm about 21. I'm allowed to swear. So,
we're trying to do without the swearies.
I'm trying to get back to the point of playing that clip, as I say, is because John Swinney and Stephen Flynn have told the media, who have been trying to put it into the minds of the Scottish people, that the SNP have put independence in the back burner. John Swinney in Panorama and Stephen Flynn with Sophie Ridgely on Sky made sure there was no ambiguity about it.
Yeah.
And as I say, the membership have now all had an email from John to make it clear he's putting independence on the front foot.
And I assure you that there'll be maybe a tiny number would go, I still don't like it, but the vast majority of the membership would be going, right, we're four square behind you, right? And that's it, because SNP are the party of independence in Scotland. That's the raison d'etre, as they say, right? I'm pleased. I'm pleased about the email.
What's interesting about this email, David? I'm going to put it back up.
Yeah.
Right. I'll tell you what's interesting about this email. Right. Where's the bloody share button?
It's underneath us too.
Right. The interesting thing about it is the SNP stands for independence. Okay.
Yes.
But this is what could have been on the ballot paper.
Yes. Vote SNP for Scotland to be an independent country. Yeah.
Now, I still want answers on who fucking put a shit kibosh on.
I know. All right. But the thing is, though, it has less weight now, right? Beforehand, if they hadn't done that, we'd have still been saying, right, who the hell was it that made the decision not to put that on the polling card?
I still want answers, David. There was something about the conference vote you don't have it on the ballot paper. I want an answer. I want an answer to who thinks they're bigger than the party membership.
Yeah. Okay.
I still want that answer. So we better move on. Yes. Because we've been 20 minutes on the first couple of items.
That's all right. Don't worry about it. If they're important, they're important. I'm sure the people here are mostly glad that we've now got a bit of blooming strength from Flynn and Swinney. Yeah?
Yes.
Right. So
right. Ross goes into hiding. Trust.
You're not going to.
No, I know he was. I know there was a First Minister's a day, and he had been there, but I haven't had to look at that one yet. I'll need to look at that for maybe Monday.
Well, right, can we just, because we're running short of time, can we just combine this with item 9, which is the
No,
Daftest
wait,
election?
item 9 is special.
All right, okay, fine, no worries, right.
He must be given his award properly. Item
Yes.
9 is a serious item in the programme now,
Yeah.
David.
Yes, I know. All right, okay.
Anyway, Dross goes into hiding. He's made enemies within the party. He's made enemies over Scotland. Nobody wants to campaign for him up in the fucking up in the constituency he's running in.
I'd love to talk to him face to face and go, what's going on inside your head? What on earth became you to blooming to wrinkle your blooming expenses for a £45 parking thing at an airport, right? How stupid with the money that you're on, right? And then the other one is blooming, well, your mate's in his blooming hospital bed.
You're going to steal the seat. No wonder he's had to hit the deck. But what's interesting is the Tory campaign in Scotland wasn't going well, but it's just fucking blown right out the water now.
Anyway, but I would honestly, I'd love to be the guy that interviewed Mr. Ross. Yes.
Oh, I know. When you get that press conference on Stone and do get to see, I'd love to be one of the members of the press. But as I say, the Tories have went into meltdown here, and it's not going great. Can
I just put out a call there, David Douglas? If you're watching this, and I'm sure you do because you like to watch what the opposition are doing, come in and talk to us, and we'll maybe do a wee interview for you. All right?
You can
so at least
you. Yeah. Watch those live streams for a laugh, and that's exactly what they are. Hey, as I say, the Tories' latest polling shows them getting wiped out in Scotland, which is always good news.
By the way, thank you, Craig. There's been a few people doing, and we've been talking at the time. I'm trying to catch them all, and if there's any that I've missed, I do apologise. I'll see them when I go back through the
David, there isn't one come to screen so far. There isn't one that's come on yet that hasn't went to screen. I've hit them all, haven't up the recent feed. So
you got Craig Dooley, didn't you? Yeah, you got that.
Craig, yes.
Yeah.
He said SNP all the way to independence. I put it up on the ticker tape position in the screen.
Yep, good.
Okay. So Dross has went to ground, but it's not going well for Starmer. He's been shunted to one side, and he's been told to shut the fake up.
Yes, he will be in future told what to say. In other words, any announcement he makes will be given to him. How's about that, eh? There you go.
Anna Starmer red-faced his Labour manifesto undermines no austerity pledge. And as I say, he's been shunted to one side. Until he'll be told what to tell the Scottish people for now on.
Yeah.
You know, he's been told, shut up, get back in your box job. Because, you know, he's promised the people the ending of the 2-child cap and all sorts of shite. And his major mistake was to go against Starmer on Gaza.
Yeah.
Thanks, Phil.
I actually think if he ever came out with something, if he ever wanted to rebel against what's happening to him, it's just tell everybody in the Scottish branch office of Labour right, okay, you're okay, you can vote for independence, guys.
Well, we know 42% of the members, Labour members here in Scotland want independence. I mean, it's pretty well nuts.
But they won't vote for it until the party say that it's all right.
If he wanted to, he could always break away from London Labour, but they couldn't afford to stand on their own 2 feet, David, as we know. 14 members, they wouldn't have enough money to be able to stand candidates as MSPs, never mind as bloody MPs.
Yeah, well, I think that's the reason why independence is ever so important, because in actual fact, at one time there was a discussion about actually funding certain of the candidates, right? Funding political parties, right? I mean, you must have heard that at some time in the past, yeah?
Aye.
So it wouldn't be a bad idea to start off an independent Scotland whereby the smaller parties received funding commensurate with the amount of members they had or whatever. Yeah,
Yep.
and I think that would be fair.
I also think they should only be public funded.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
there should be no donations for big donors or things like that, or
absolutely.
lobby groups.
Because if there's donation from private donors, that's where the corruption comes in.
Gets a
That's where
better.
somebody's. That's where somebody is actually buying the party. Yeah,
Yes.
we saw that with the Labour Party, where it was Israel that bought the Labour Party. They bought the Labour Party,
Thanks, Diane.
and in actual fact, Starmer, the guy that gives the funds, he actually funded Starmer with a huge chunk of money.
Okay, the Labour friends in Israel, they give them 50 grand towards winning the Labour Party thing.
Yeah, there you go.
You know, as I
That's
say,
wrong. That's just morally and ethically wrong. And
Sarwar's shunted to one side. He's been told, shut up.
yeah,
I need a spotlight behind the camera, class action. I can't move the light fitting in the on the ceiling. But we'll see if I get one of wee light loops to put in front of behind the camera.
yeah. They don't. I've got one up in the cabin. I wish I could go up and get it, but I can't at the moment. Just can't get near it.
Say I'll jump onto Amazon and order one. I need some new AirPods anyway. See if we can sort the lighting out. You know. So no, Sarwar's not got the option of becoming a pro-independence party here in Scotland, because the funding, they just don't have the membership. The funding just wouldn't be there.
Yeah.
You know, it's the reason why the Conservatives here hold on to the Westminster Party as well.
Yeah.
But there's not enough for them to be able to finance the amount of MPs.
They are quite literally a branch office. That's it. You know, it's like, you know, if the branch office isn't bringing in enough to actually feed what's needed, you know, publications, leaflets, all the rest of it, right? Then that funding has to come from the central source, which is London.
No, Brian, I've run out of candles for the naughty step. I'll need to go in the shop and pick a couple of hundred up.
Michael Curry, we couldn't agree with you more.
Yes.
Julian Assange should be released as quickly as possible. And I really don't understand why the British establishment are hanging on to him. Well, you think about it this way, the reason why they're hanging on to him is because the Americans actually run the British establishment.
Anyway, so Sarwar's been told to get back on point. Sarwar's been told to shut up because he's contradicted Starmer a few times. The big ones being, especially with the Scottish Labour conference passing the motion for an immediate ceasefire. So after this election, I imagine that Sarwar's getting his P45. He'll maybe be kept as the party leader in the Holyrood Chamber. But I've got a funny feeling that one of the 4 MPs that have been candidates that have been parachuting for down south if they win a seat, or Michael Shanks, will be given the leadership of the Labour Party here. Starmer's a control freak, and he will want control. And believe it or not, he sees Sarwar as a loose cannon.
I think it's lovely that it is the unions in Scotland that drove that vote of, you know, for ceasefire. You know, I think that's marvellous. I really, really do. Wrong party, but at the same time, still marvellous.
Right.
And, you know, you're talking about a party that is actually run by Israel.
Elizabeth, there's a naughty step behind me. You'll no burn your arse in the candle.
Get the lighter out. There's a lighter.
You'll not burn your rest in the candle because I've run out of candles. I'll need to go to show.
Well, you get a lighter and you go sit in that here. There you go.
There's a fair few of them on the naughty step. I was just telling me to reach out these days.
What a picture that creates.
Try to tell you off last week for being late, you bums. Sarwar's been kept sharp, and it looks like he will probably be shunted after this election. You know. Right, and of course, comedy section 5 on Scotland is.
Hang on a second, David. Can I just run down to a comment that went up, and it was a dreadful comment. What can I say? Where is it? No, I can't get it now. Oh, there it is. There. It's from Johnny McCrae. I made a comment the other day about Sunak and got told by an Englishman to shut the fuck up, you disgusting Scottish peasant. Just shows how some people across the border think about us. But that's always been the case, right? But there's some of them in England, quite a number, that quite like us. So don't worry about it.
I'd say the majority. They're all good. The majority of good people. We always get dickheads everywhere.
Aye. Some will, some won't, so what? You know what I mean? Don't worry about it.
I dare say English people have come across the same crap here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's be fair about it. Let's be even-handed here. You know, I mean, I know a guy that runs a farm shop that will not accept English banknotes. So there we go. Right, as I say, section 5.
Incidentally, a lot of you will realise that if you go to Turkey, they won't accept the Scottish £20 note or any tender bigger than that. They will only accept sterling, which, beside the fact, is actually Scottish because we're the ones that brought that into existence. However, it's English sterling that we have to take with us if we're going to Turkey, and it's pretty shit. It really is, honestly. I think everyone wants it.
If you took some Turkish money and left the English shit at home.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Yeah, I mean, why insult the local people with trying to buy their shit with somebody else's money?
Well, no, it's easy. It's honestly, it's easy, and they give you.
It's also bloody arrogant.
No, but they give you the change in the Turkish money.
It's the arrogance of going to another person's country and expecting them to accept your money.
No, that's down to them. That is down to them. They have a preference for the English sterling. Well, ask the guys on here and you'll see any that have gone to.
David, I wouldn't insult anybody, but no going to their shop with their own money.
Anyway.
I would never dream of going to any country and expecting them to accept my money. I would have the current, the decency.
See that there?
My money.
See that there, David? See that there? See if I go for a pint anywhere in practically any country you could name, right? That's my money now. I go click, and that's it. There you are.
But as I say, the arrogance of the idea of rocking up in somebody else's country and expecting them to accept your money. The arrogance of rocking up in somebody else's country with their currency. Wow. I know, I wouldn't be doing that. Anyway, in the comedy section for the Scottish section, it would appear that the Lib Dems have confused a Westminster election with a Holyrood election because Alex Cole-Hamilton says he's going to fix mental health in Scotland because he launches the Lib Dems manifesto in Scotland.
Yeah, I know, bloody hell, man. It's just, it's all getting a bit confused and everybody's going about, well, what we're actually talking about here isn't the answer simple. Independence. Then we just talk about our own shit. Get that sorted out. Yeah.
Well, the guy seems a wee bit confused.
Well, David. The man is taking a back seat, isn't he, for mental issues? Yeah. So yeah, come on. Yeah.
I was going to say, somebody go and see the nurse for this guy. From the cancerous chair, he's saying, I'll fix mental health after this election in Scotland. Fucking election in Scotland. So where's the election? Wow. Nuts. As I say, there's the comedy section here. The stuff short has arisen to tell us that
a wee question to Gordon McKenzie. He was in Turkey recently. All shops, cafes, restaurants and golf courses preferred payment in euros. You would need a wheelbarrow full of Turkish lira to buy golf clubs. What was, Gordon, can you tell us what the exchange rate was of interest on that? What it was, the lira to a euro or the whatever? Be nice to know that. I'm not getting the top of the page here, David. Can you see that?
I don't think it's that important, David. You know,
I want to go.
yourself.
I might fancy a wee trip to Turkey after this shocking.
Fancy a wee trip to Turkey. And it could go on the brink of going to war with fucking everybody else in the Middle East. So no, I don't get a pass, thanks. But the point is, David, you're absolutely correct. These days, nobody exchanges money. They just hit the plastic and what the bank's there.
Well, it's not even the plastic. You've got that in your pocket because you're on it with Facebook and all the rest of it, right? That's my money. That's my money, right? And I just go click, right?
I still use my card. I don't have my phone set up as a card.
Your phone is a million times more secure than your card. The card has got a dumb chip in it, right? These things, the Google Pay thing, is absolutely it's fortress. It really is a fortress.
Thanks, Michael. I did see that. It just was not something we're talking about today. Turkey has joined the
Turkey's joined BRICS, has it? I didn't know that.
Allowed into Europe. Why wouldn't they join BRICS?
Yeah, I need to go looking that up. When that is a powerful country to join BRICS. You know, because look at the army that Turkey's got for a start. You know.
Jordy, I'm with you. Cash is king. Hey, right. We better move on, David.
Okay.
Too much fun and not enough seriousness.
I was just shooting the breeze for a minute. That was all.
Right. So, folks, at the beginning of this program, if you're on YouTube, you've seen I fired 3 manifestos up, and out the first 3 that are out the park. But they're English. Remember, they're English manifestos.
Yeah.
You know, but some of them, of course, some of the pledges make a difference UK wide. Right, so obviously the most radical of them is the Greens. They're talking about wealth distribution. And say I put links to each of their manifestos in the chat because as political anarchists, we should be having a look at what our neighbours are telling our neighbours to vote for, because we're caught up in this same mess. So the Greens, as I say, have been the most radical, David, and they're talking about wealth distribution. But we'll just, I'll stick it up and we can have a quick look at what their main points are. Okay.
And, you know, you've got to look each election that the Greens take part in. They do get a wee bit stronger, maybe a bit of representative at the top of the party and all the rest of it. So it's worthwhile keeping an eye on them. That's all.
The key word in their manifesto is fairer. So they concentrate on providing fairer, greener homes for all, building a fairer, healthier country, caring with fairness, compassion and dignity. In other words, mimicking the Scottish social security system.
This is the English Greens.
Greens, yes.
Yes.
The Scottish one was loopy. We spoke about that. We'll talk about taxing the super rich and oil companies when they don't have that sort of power. Creating a fairer, greener economy, powering up fairer, greener energy, making work fair, fairer, green social support, bringing nature back to life, protecting
Yeah.
animals, fairer green food and farming,
Yeah.
fairer green transport, fairer, greener education system. As I say, the key word here is fairer, and it's because they are talking about wealth redistribution. They're talking about taxing the rich.
As a socialist, I can't really argue with that. Can
No.
you? You know, it's like, you know, if that was an that we're talking midterm here, but if that was an SNP list of what they wanted and the rest of it, you go, that's fair enough, wouldn't you?
Oh,
Yeah.
as I say, the links are there for you to get into each of these titles, folks, and see how they've costed it and what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, but the key word in their manifesto is fairer.
Yeah.
You know, and they're talking about wealth redistribution. Now that brings us to something that John Swinney said this week in the press, and he's challenging Keir Starmer to tax people fairly, and that's because, of course, we have 6 bands. Now, if England was to have 6 tax bands, they could easily fund public services better.
Yes.
So John's challenging Starmer to create a fairer tax system the same way we have here in Scotland. Because
what he's doing is he's making people look at what the SNP do as opposed to what Labour are going to do, right?
Yep.
And showing that there's what the SNP do is much more superior to what the Labour are planning. And by John saying, look, why don't you take a leaf out of our book and do it this way? But Starmer can't. All this stuff in the manifesto has been thought about for at least the half an hour before he went on. No, I'm not only kidding.
We're on the Green Manifesto, the new book, David, and Hetty's quite right. For what I've skimmed over it so far, and I'll put the links up there for people to go more in depth. Even though, let me make this clear, folks, these are English parties or English Welsh parties.
Yeah.
Right. In the devolved area, in devolved nations, we should be getting separate manifestos, and we know that the Greens have got a separate manifesto here in Scotland for the one in England. But Hetty's right. The English Greens must have been looking at the SNP policies, because a lot of the policies have already been put in place here. And as I say, when it comes to wealth distribution, the Greens are talking about a fairer tax system. You see, Swinney is a challenge Starmer on a fairer tax system. You're right, David. It's forcing the people of England to look and say, what's Swinney on about? Because the majority of people in England don't realise that we fund our public services by spreading the building across a lot more categories. I mean, if I'm paying a wee bit more tax, it's the price of a cup of coffee a week. You know, it's not a lot, but it's worth it, because when you group it all together, it's enough to help fund public services.
Well, you've got to look at. I mean, look at what the NHS in Scotland did for me. I don't know how much that costs, but in terms of man hours and time and the materials used and getting me on it, that must have cost the NHS a fortune. If I had been in America and I'd been funding this myself, leg off, hospital stay, all the beds, all the morphine and all the rest of it to deal with the pain, right? And then the building of this, I don't know. I can imagine I would see a figure of maybe like £200,000 or £300,000 if it was in the American system, right? To do that, I'd be blooming selling my house. I'd be selling my house.
Back here.
Yeah.
Your point's good. You know, you get better public services if you tax properly, and that's what John's telling Starmer, and that's what the Greens are putting in their manifesto. And what I've seen of it, if I was in England, I would be voting for the Greens.
Yeah.
You know, now let's move on to the Conservative manifesto, shall we?
Yeah.
let's get to the bullet points in the Conservative manifesto. And basically, it's tax giveaways for their existing base.
Yeah.
You know, the big
Well,
one.
what I noticed was it was all a bit ambiguous. It was all a bit airy fairy. It was, you know, there was nothing. We're going to do this to that person, and on that date, there was nothing there. Nothing square in their manifesto.
Well,
Yeah.
anyway, let's have a look at what they're offering the public. Another 2% cut in national insurance, gouging another £9 billion hole in public services, meaning more cuts.
Aye.
They're offering to scrap a stamp duty for first-time buyers up to 450,000, which would save a bit on deposits, but it's not going to make getting on the housing ladder that much more affordable. They're offering a quadruple lock on pensions, whatever the fuck that is. You know, and they're offering other tax giveaways in the business sector. But the Conservative manifesto, as David says, when you get the broad outlines, bold actions to deliver a secure future for our country and your family. And that hasn't been the case so far. Our plan for a secure, dynamic and growing economy, that's no fucking work, that's bottomed out. Our plan to cut taxes and protect pensions, that's what I was talking about with tax cuts for the national insurance cuts and the pension protections, apparently. Their plan to support families, well, they haven't had any plan to support them so far. So you get where I'm coming from. The broad, but the specifics are tax cuts for those who are already their base.
No, what was the funny one with the pension? It's not a triple lock; it's a quadruple lock.
Aye. To be fair, David, the manifesto, I haven't had a chance to get through it yet. I've had a look at the green one because that was the first one out the box. I'll put them up for everybody to get a look at, because stuff in the Tory and Labour manifesto, especially because either end could come to power down that road, will affect people in Scotland.
Yeah.
You know, pensions are still administered UK-wide. National insurance is still administered UK-wide. So these things are important to the people here. So the offer for the Tories is merely the same but worse, because they're talking about gouging more holes into the Treasury. And that would mean, see, this is one of the things that's got me confused about how the national debt's so high after 14 years of austerity, because they've cut the state that much, they've cut it to the bone. So where's all this fucking money gone?
In pockets.
As I say, but it's amazing. You know, here we have a record national debt after 14 years of austerity and fuck all public services left. Where did the money go?
Well, we're talking, you're actually talking about a sum of money. It's 2.2 trillion. It's 2.8 trillion, but we started off with the handover between Labour and Tories.
There was 800 billion.
It's 600. No, it was 600 billion.
800, David. But we're
I looked it up the other day. That was 600 billion, right? So it was 600 billion. We're at 2.8 trillion now, which means that with the actual sum that is going into people's pockets, into Tory pockets, into elites' pockets, is 2.2 trillion.
Thank you very much, Donald. Thank you.
That is unbelievable.
As I say, you've got to ask yourself.
Is the people on these islands have been scammed, have been robbed, and they never saw it happening, because everybody that was doing it to them didn't have a blooming hoodie. They had a three-piece suit on and looked dead smart. And these were the people that were blooming robbing them blind.
Very good, but let's get back to the point. Where did it go?
It
doesn't matter whether it's a guy with a swag suit on that nicked it, or whether it's a guy with a suit on that nicked it. The question people have got to be asking themselves, David, is why is it that every man, woman and child on these islands is burdened with 48,000 quid 600 in debt? But wait, I mean, you think about it. Labour handled the banking crash, and that took the debt to between 600 and 800 billion.
Yeah, right, okay. We're not going to argue about that. All right.
How did we get to 2.2 trillion when they've cut the state to the bone?
I would ask George Osborne,
Well, that's
because I believe that a lot of the stuff that caused that money to actually suddenly
We've
start.
got 10 minutes left, David, so we need to motor. So
Yeah,
next up is the Labour Party manifestos, you know, folks. Starmer,
Yeah.
David and I watched it yesterday. The day Starmer promised to fix almost everything, he forgot the moon and the sun.
Yeah.
Apart from that, he's going to fix fucking everything. Healthcare, he's going to fix education, he's going to fix workers' rights, he's going to fix fucking everything. But let's have a wee quick look at some of the crap, shall we? Where are we? Yeah, back up the tab. At a glance, what the Labour, what actually did Labour's manifesto? The economy, stability, and the 1.8 billion to upgrade ports and build supply chains, and 1.5 billion bung for the automotive industry to keep them going, or to hope that they don't shut down in the UK and move on. Because let's face it, the automotive industry here now only has the internal market to sell to. Right?
Uh-huh.
And he's talking about continuing and shutting loopholes in the tax. He's talking about introducing VAT in schools, private school fees, abolishing non-dom status, closing loopholes in the windfall tax on oil and gas companies. Okay. On health, he's promising 40,000 new NHS appointments per week, and he's talking about doing that, David, through
working nights and weekends.
Well, he better speak very nicely to the junior doctors, because the industrial dispute down there has been resolved, and they're going into a general election. It won't be resolved. But how he can make that sort of promise without talking to the medical fraternity first, I don't bloody well know. Where are we again?
But also the nurses. I mean, the one thing that I did notice when I was in World 11, right at the very top, the Queen Elizabeth, was there was always nurses short. There were always you're struggling for staff in the nursing team. You know, we're talking like all levels, right? And it was always filled with bank. In actual fact, there was one nurse there that was a male nurse, and he was permanently employed on bank. How can you get that? Why don't you just let me get the guy in and go, well, you've worked in there, let's bring you in full time. It would cost them less money.
No doubt, David. That's a question for whoever's.
I know it is. Right, fine. Yeah.
And here in Scotland as well.
Yeah.
I mean, workforce strategy is a big thing. Okay. Yeah. What else is in this bloody manifesto? Energy, Great British Energy, a state-owned company. It's not a company, it's a bloody investment bank. Will be set up and headquartered in Scotland. It will be tasked with investing in green energy projects with the aim of cutting bills and increasing energy security. What a lot of push. Labour, it's a PFI fund, folks. It's scam, folks. And PFI never put money in anybody's pockets.
Yeah.
In fact, it took it out of everybody's pockets. He says Labour will invest 6.6 billion over the next 5 years to upgrade 5 million homes and to cut energy bills. 5 million. Fucking hell. Right, yeah. Scotland. Labour have pledged to reset Westminster's relationship with Holyrood and other devolved governments. And a new Council of Nations and Regions will be established to bring the Prime Minister, the First Minister of devolved governments, and the mayors to some form of authority.
Basically, what that does is it turns all the First Ministers into mayors.
Yes.
Right? And then there'll be a little place where all the mayors, right, they go in and they all sort out business. So in other words, Holyrood is not the place where the power of the Parliament is, or a devolved Parliament is used for the people. It will now be this thing, this Council of Mayors.
Yes.
we've got to beware of Starmer. Starmer will do this stuff, and he'll bring it in, and you'll go, and it'll be a thing.
Right, this bit he slaps down on what Ian Murray was saying, right, and it just sort of doubles down on it. Labour also said they would support the Scottish Government to partner with international bodies where relevant. The relevant bit's appropriate and appropriate. These are basically you don't get to talk to any fucking unless we say it's relevant and inappropriate, which is what Ian Murray said. And because Scotland's got an outstanding reputation in healthcare, this is like global health initiatives. Scotland would be allowed to talk to world on global health initiatives, but that's about fucking it, right? And as we know, Ian Murray also said that the Labour Party would use the Scotland office as the doer for Scotland.
So in other words, no SNP politicians will be allowed to go abroad and promote Scotland, because what will happen is Labour will say, well, that's our job.
Right, immigration, scrap Rwanda, set up new border security command, which fuck knows what that means, and would use beefed up counter-terror powers to crack down on people smugglers. Never as much shit in all your life. Can't crack them. And a new return enforcement unit with 1,000 extra staff would also be established to fast-track the removal of asylum seekers who are deemed to have no right to stay in the UK to other countries. Foreign policy, support Ukraine, recognise Palestinian state as part of a peace process in the Middle East, but only as part of the peace process in the Middle East. Laws reforms, this one is absolutely hilarious. It would appear that Mr. Starmer doesn't understand how the constitutional set-up is, how Westminster's actually set up, it would appear. Starmer's not aware of it, because Lord reforms, he would bring forward immediate legislation to abolish indefensible hereditary peers from the House of Lords, its manifesto says. Now, David, as you and I both know, in the treaty that formed that parliament, Scotland must have a minimum of 49 MPs and 16 hereditary lords in the House of Lords. As we know, when one of the hereditary lords recently died, Jack McConnell was made a hereditary peer to ensure that there is always 16 hereditary peers in the House of Lords.
Well, who's he going to break that? We're looking at and how's he going to break it?
I think the constitutional.
I actually think the same as he's going to do with the mayors and the first ministers and all the rest of it, right? I think he's just going to try and get it in. He's going to try and play against it, hoping that nobody's going to take him to court over it.
I think you'll find the hereditary peers already be drawing up a legal action.
Well, if that's the case, fair enough. But
if he's going to abolish hereditary peers to get rid of the royalty out of Westminster, then he would need to get rid of the Prince Bishops as well out of the Lords.
Yeah.
And he can't do that either, because that's constitutionally part of the English Constitution.
Yeah, they have to be there. They're part of the establishment. Yeah, you've heard the big long word, disestablishmentarianism, right? That basically is where you break the monarchy away from the church, right? And therefore you'd be doing a similar thing if you try to get rid of these bishops out of the House of Lords. Simple as that. And it's not going to happen. It can't happen. It's the base. Yeah.
UK, no, it wasn't it. They broke the Sewell Convention. Hold on, where is it? They broke the Sewell Agreement. They break every agreement. They can't.
You're quite right. No, but you're quite right. The Sewell Agreement was broken, right? And you know, I had a politician on TV talking about it the other day there, and it's actually quite serious. It takes away a lot of our, how can I say, our ability to guide or chart a way in out of this union. Simple as that.
Well, as I say, he obviously hasn't got a Scooby on how Westminster was set up. Because in the actual treaty, which binds which created the Parliament, the single Parliament, it's quite clear that there has to be 16 hereditary peers from Scotland in that House of Lords.
Right. Anyway, we've got to move on, right? So we get to the daftest election candidate of the week. Come on, David, over to you.
Okay, listen, folks, as you know, we put the manifestos up. The Labour one, especially, have a look at it because a lot of the stuff in it does affect Scotland, like workers' rights and things like that. I mean, he went on with the gig economy about how he's going to deal with zero contracts. I guess he doesn't understand how the gig economy works either. Spanner. But let's move on to the daftest election candidate of the week. I'll let you announce who it is this week, David.
It's Douglas Ross. Yes.
Oh,
and I think that everybody would agree with us wholeheartedly that here is a man who actually planned and executed his own destruction as a politician. He stabbed his best mate in bed, suffering from an illness.
We don't know he's his best mate for a start, so let's not make stuff up.
Okay, well, he's
he stabbed a colleague in the back while he was sick.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
So how awful is that? There's not much honour in that.
But as you say, he did. See, the reason why he is the daftest candidate of the week because they never thought it through. The Conservative Association up there won't fucking won't canvass for him, so that's not a good sign. And not
only that. I mean, here's a man that earns a lot more than me. In actual fact, he earns a lot more than me and you and a lot of people on this blooming list here put together, right? And he screws his blooming expenses for a £45 parking bay at one of the Scottish airports. Is that not dreadful? Did he not think about that and go, that's pretty stupid?
Aye.
I'll put that through in expenses. Come on, man.
And we've got David, we're out of time, but we're going to end on a good news story for Scotland.
Yes.
And something that's there for the people of England to be made aware of. The Good Law Project had yon architect on, I can't remember what his name was again.
Yeah.
A English architect.
Yeah.
Kevin MacLeod, that's him. And he was bemoaning something that's happening in Scotland and no England. So we'll share this one with the people.
Yeah.
It's a good news story for Scotland and a wake-up call for England. So for a wee change, we're going to end no on Israel and Ukraine. We're going to end on Britain at the back of the race from the Good Law Project with Kevin MacLeod.
Of the 1st of January 2025, a part of the UK is going to be demanding that all new homes are built to passive standards, which means energy bills a tenth of the price that you or I might pay in our homes. And that part of the UK is Scotland. Isn't that extraordinary? Just over the border, it's happening. Oh, and it's happening in parts of Germany, Switzerland, Scandinavia, Belgium. And it's happening all over Northern Europe, for heaven's sakes. And goodness me, local authorities across the country want to do that. There is a tremendous amount of confusion deliberately being sowed from central government in order to bamboozle and confuse local authorities, in order to kind of sow a lack of trust that local authorities can drive local policies, that they can take taxpayers' money and develop complex local plans, pushing for higher standards in construction. We were, 15 years ago, leading the race towards net zero. Britain was setting the highest possible standards and driving towards zero carbon in construction. And what happened? We just decided for some reason we were going to just retire out of the race. We were winning, for heaven's sakes. So what did? We just stopped. We just pulled off to the side of the track, lit a cigarette. Now we're at the back of the race, while every other country in this continent moves forwards. And before you know it, England alone will be left utterly stranded on this planet as the laughingstock of every other country pursuing net zero. What were we thinking?
Well, there you go, folks. In England, there a wee wake-up call for you. And folks here in Scotland, because of the Scottish Government, they're building passive homes, and they're modernising the existing stock to become passive homes, and they're slashing your bills at the same time.
If you don't understand the phrase, it basically means that the walls and the windows and all the rest of it are set up so that any small amount of heat that's there is kept inside, unless you open a window or a door and let it out, right? And that's fantastic. If you look at some of the Scandinavian houses that you can get in kit form, they're amazing, absolutely amazing, and they do preserve the heat and mean that you're paying little or nothing for heating.
That's the way forward, David.
Yeah, and don't forget, if you've got a decent wee solar panel set up, you can easily power all the lights in your house and all the rest of it, right? The telly, whatnot. These kind of houses are wonderful. The older houses really well. I mean, I live in one. I love it, but I do know it can be drafty at the times. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So we've ended in a good news story, David. It's 6 minutes past. I start working 30 minutes, so I'm off ski. Thanks everybody for your kind contributions today.
Yeah.
As it starts to mount up in the account again, we can start firing it out the door again.
That's the way.
Very much for watching again in your huge numbers. Thanks to the moderators for modding.
Yep.
It's an election year. Eyes on the prize. Vote SNP if you're an independent supporter. That just leaves one thing left to do, David.
Bye, Davey.
Bye, Davey.
Bye, guys.
Bye, folks.